Hi folks, this is Chris from Punk and Paisley. It's been a little while since I've uploaded a video. Still doing the project of the 1960s underrated bands. The next one in line is going to be the Hollies, so check out that series. There's more coming. I have to do 7 more of those bands is the task I set out for myself, but that's coming soon. I like to do research for those a little bit more than I would for most of these videos. So while I'm doing that, I thought I'd do something fun and take a look at a lot of the cool items that I have found at thrift stores and at flea markets since we've moved to Italy, which is over a year ago now. I'm an American. I have dual citizenship. We've relocated to Italy. And I find I'm still interested in the rock and roll. I still love my punk rock. I still love my garage rock and various other genres and various and sundry other musics. And I'm finding some cool stuff for some really excellent prices. I think that I'm going to do a video upcoming soon on record shopping in Italy, things that I've noticed about how it's different from the United States and how it's exactly the same in many ways. So look out for that one as well. But in the meantime, I think we're going to take a look first at a very few CDs that I've found that are cool to be out on the lookout for, especially if you find yourself in Italy or in Europe. Keep an eye out for these. Low cost, high value in terms of enjoyment. That's one of the aims of the channel here, is to give you some pointers on ways to fill out your record collection, listen to some great music without necessarily breaking the bank. So we'll start with a few CDs, then I'll do the LPs, and then I'll do the 45s. These are not everything that I've purchased in Italy, and I've certainly purchased more. Both things I'm forgetting about right now or didn't have on hand, and things that I've just bought to flip that I have for sale because I sold records for almost 20 years in the United States, something like 17 years. And I'm continuing to do that to a lesser extent here now that we've moved. It's a different market. I didn't bring all of my stock with me. I sold a lot of it off in the States. I'm getting to know the market here a little bit better, and it's just a little bit harder for me to get running with that, as you might understand. I used to sell books too. I used to sell more books than records, and believe me, I am almost entirely out of that market here because absolutely everything I look at is new to me. So I have a much harder time determining whether something is immediately interesting and valuable because it's interesting doesn't mean that it's rare. It's just the first time I've seen it. Yeah, I definitely have a learning curve with that, and I've ramped down a lot of those activities a lot. So a lot of what I'm buying these days really is for my personal consumption. And which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, treat yourself every once in a while, especially at these prices. So the first item that we're going to look at is called 45 Giri Beat, which is, that's 45 speed records, 45 RPMs. Giri can be translated as turn or revolution in this case, so 45 speed beat. And of course that word beat is expansively used in a lot of European languages to refer to any kind of 60s rock, a lot of which is harder rock, psych, that sort of thing. So this is good mid-60s stuff. There's 16 songs on this CD, and I kind of wanted to start with this one because it's very typical of Italian, especially Italian language, and a lot of European non-English 60s music. A lot of your beat, a lot of your freak beat and your early psych and all of that is, in many cases, especially the A-sides, just covers. A lot of times it's covers of American or British, typically, songs, sometimes Australian songs that were hits in those countries, and they get a somewhat different arrangement, sometimes for the worse, sometimes for the more interesting, and sometimes the exact same arrangement, and they get a lyrical overhaul. A lot of times the lyric is not a direct translation, because that direct translation will not work. Squeezing it into a rhyme in a different language, keeping the same meter as the song. More often than that, that doesn't work. So a lot of times you get songs that are covers. The melody is a cover, the arrangement of the song is a cover, but the lyric can be substantially different. This is primarily, this is a great release and a great intro to specifically Italian mid-60s rock, a lot of which is covers of American and British stuff. And I paid €2 for it, which is awesome. One of the flea markets that we go to up here pretty regularly. €2. Was thrilled to see it. Yeah, there's some quality stuff. And what's funny is I bought this some months ago, and since then, 3 of the 45s I'm going to show you are actually, the A-sides are on this CD, but that's still 13 more winners. So excellent. €2. Keep an eye out for 45 Giri Beat should you find yourself down Italy way. Another great CD, and this is actually from a massive box set. This says Ren Rani presenta Quel favolosi anni 60. Quel favolosi anni 60. It's important to say anni. It's what fabulous 60s. Anni 60 would be the years. The years 60 is how you say the 60s. And you want to stick the landing on the double N there, anni, because that means years. If you say anni with one N in Italian, that means anuses. So you can guarantee that the fabulous songs of the 60s are going to be a better CD than 60 fabulous songs from the anuses. I think we can all agree that is most likely the case. And I have to say, this was a massive box set. I bought this CD for €2. I have been finding these in thrift stores for $1.50 and for €2, which is pretty cheap. It's less than $3, less than $2 if it's at $1.50. And the positive thing here is that this was a massive Time Lifestyle, possibly 80 or 100 CD box set. I've yet to see an entire one. Something that Italian thrift stores tend to do is to break up box sets and stick them on the CD shelves as individual CDs. Sometimes you'll see the box set together, but very often when they came in a large box like this 80 or 100 CD set had to, I'm finding these loose, and they are by year. Now, a downside of this box set is that these songs, they made no attempt whatsoever to sift by genre. And they did the years 1960 to 1969, which, as I've noted on another video, that's the most diverse decade that you have going. The music of 1960 sounds almost nothing like the music of 1969. You're going to get away with the music of the 80s and, new wave hits of the 80s. You can mix your 80s in there, and the buyer's probably going to be pretty happy. But the person who wants the light pop stuff from 1960 is not the person who wants, the Led Zeppelin cover from 1969. Those are virtually two different generations in terms of their musical tastes, and really not the best move putting these all in one box set. So perhaps it's a good thing that you find these loose, and the only arrangement that's done here is by year. So there's 19, it's as simple as 1960 number 1, 1960 number 2. I'm not sure if these are chronological or not through the year, but within the year, you just get a mix of songs that were hits on the Italian charts, 60, 61, and so forth. So what I've been doing, and there seem to be 8 to 10 per year. So just a massive box set, and these are packed CDs. There are how many? There are 15 songs on this one. There's as many as 20 on some of these CDs. And I'm just picking through the latter half of the 60s, 65 through 69. And a lot of these songs, a large percentage of these songs are covers. At least they are covers in as much as the melody, and again, sometimes arrangement, sometimes what the producers had to do in a country that was not necessarily stacked with all of the psychedelia and fuzz and heavier rock equipment. They came up with some really interesting ways of arranging or rearranging these songs. Sometimes I am just tickled to hear some of these songs that we all know, some of these great classic rock songs done in Italian, rendered in Italian. I often wonder how they're going to translate the lyric, or if they're just going to give up on that entirely and go with the other, go with just a new lyric entirely. And it's often amusing to see that. So yeah, I've been picking through, especially 67 through 69, but 66, 65, there's a lot of winners on here. So if you see these, Quel Favolosi Anni 60, pick one of these up. If it's in the mid to later 60s, you're going to enjoy. If you like that era of music, you're going to enjoy a lot of this stuff. One of the Italian bands that did quite well in the mid to late 60s through the 70s with a lot of cover songs, and then they start to mix in the originals, are I Dik-Dik, which is the Dik-Dik is a little deer that's native to Africa, and these guys are I Dik-Dik. Now, you should also note that when you're looking at Italian groups, E or Ye are plurals for a masculine noun. You don't expect to see an S on the end of the name of the group because Italian plurals typically, unless they're borrowing an English word, really, and even then, most of the time don't end in the letter S. So, I successi dei Dik-Dik, it's the hits of the Dik-Dik. It's like the Beatles. If the Beatles had been an Italian band, they would be E Beatle. That's all you need to know. E Rolling Stone is what the names of those bands would be. And some very cool stuff on here. Their biggest hit, their best known song was Soñando la California, which is California Dreamin', which is best known. The Mamas and the Papas version is the best known. But isn't that a Barry McGuire song originally? I believe it is. And I Dik-Dik, cool stuff. Again, I paid €2 for this. And the unexpected find, and then we'll get to the vinyl. The unexpected find was Let's Get Drunk Again. This is booze-filled, in English, booze-filled blues, bluegrass, hillbilly, and R&B from the 1920s through 1950s. This is American. It's on, actually it's not. It's British. Viper Records out of Liverpool created this, and it's all drinking, songs about getting drunk and being hungover that are hillbilly, blues, rockabilly, very cool stuff. I would have been thrilled to. I paid €2 for this. I would have been thrilled to find this in the United States, and I would have paid a few times that at least for it. And I haven't listened to this yet. It's a recent find, and I'm sure I'm going to love it. So this was a very cool find. What was it doing in a thrift store in rural Italy? I don't know, but I'm glad it was there. €2. We're going to move to let's do the LPs, and then I have a very large stack of 45s to show off.